The city pulsed like a heartbeat. Bangkok's skyline shimmered under humid midnight air, lights flickering across glass towers and restless streets. Ryan Clarke leaned against the bar of the Velvet Lounge, his tie undone, a drink sweating in his hand. Laughter from foreign businessmen mixed with the low thrum of bass echoing through the marble walls. It was supposed to be a night to celebrate, a deal signed, millions secured, another climb up the corporate ladder. But somewhere between the second and third whiskey, celebration blurred into loneliness. Before we dive deeper, tell us where you're watching from. It helps us know how far these stories reach. She appeared through the crowd like smoke. A woman in a red silk dress, her gaze steady, lips curving into something between invitation and challenge. Ryan noticed the way heads turned when she passed, the kind of beauty that silenced conversation. She stopped near him, ordering a drink in Thai, her voice smooth, low, deliberate. "You're not from here," she said, eyes flicking toward his glass. "No," Ryan answered, managing a tired smile. "Business trip. Ending tonight." "Then tonight should end well," she replied, raising her glass. They talked over music and laughter. She told him her name, Nira, said she worked in fashion, that she liked foreign men who listened more than they spoke. Ryan laughed, half flattered, half drunk. Her perfume lingered on every breath. He told her about London, about success that never felt like enough. Every word felt lighter in her presence, every glance longer than it should have been. Hours slipped by unnoticed. They danced awkward at first, then easy, then closer than strangers should. The air between them turned electric, the kind of charge that silences logic. Outside, rain began to fall, tapping against the club's tinted glass. When Nira leaned in, whispering, "Come with me," Ryan didn't hesitate. They left through the back exit, the neon glow following them into the slick alleyway. Her hand fit easily into his. Taxis passed, splashing through puddles, street vendors packing away their carts. He felt alive again, unanchored, free of the invisible cage of corporate life. She smiled when he said her name, as if testing how it sounded from his lips. In the hotel elevator, silence pressed close. Their reflections multiplied in mirrored walls, two figures drawn together by something reckless and fragile. She reached for his tie, loosening it completely. He caught her wrist gently, studying her face. "You always move this fast," he murmured. "Only when it feels right," she said. The suite door closed behind them, with a soft click. The city noise faded, replaced by the hum of air conditioning and the faint rhythm of rain. Ryan tasted whiskey and sweetness, saw her silhouette against the dim light, felt the moment shift from temptation to surrender. For the first time in years, he didn't think he just existed. Hours later, moonlight cut across tangled sheets. Ryan drifted between sleep and awareness, her perfume still on his skin. He turned toward her, Nira asleep, face serene, almost too perfect. A sudden pang of unease flickered in his chest, quick and inexplicable. He pushed it aside. He didn't know that when morning came, nothing about his life or hers would ever look the same again. Sunlight crept through the half-drawn curtains, soft but unforgiving. Ryan's head pounded with the dull ache of too much whiskey. He stirred, the sheets twisted around his legs, the scent of perfume still heavy in the air. For a moment, memory failed him. Only fragments remained. The club, her smile, the rain. Then, like a slow burn, it came back. He turned. Nira lay beside him, her hair spread across the pillow, her breathing steady. In the daylight, the illusion of night faded. Her features looked different, sharper, almost unfamiliar. Something about her posture, the faint stiffness in her shoulders, unsettled him. Ryan looked away, forcing a laugh under his breath. "Rough night," he muttered. Nira's eyes opened. She smiled faintly. "You don't remember much, do you?" "Bits and pieces," he said, rubbing his temples. "Guess I celebrated too hard." "You were generous," she teased, her tone light but edged with knowing. Ryan tried to match her smile, but unease sat heavy on his chest. He swung his legs off the bed, searching for his watch, his phone. The room was quiet except for the low hum of the air conditioner. His shirt lay on the floor beside her heels, one of which was broken. The sight of it struck him with something he couldn't name, embarrassment maybe. or dread. Last night, he said, turning slowly. You said you worked in fashion. Neera sat up, wrapping the sheet around herself. Sometimes. People call it many things. Her answer hung between them. Ryan forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Right. I should, probably get going. She tilted her head. You don't even know what day it is. He checked his phone, 2 missed calls, a message from his boss. The clock read 10:47 a.m. Thursday, he said. Neera's expression softened. You looked lonely last night, Ryan. I just wanted to make you feel something again. He froze. How do you know my name? Her smile didn't falter. You told me, more than once. He tried to recall the details, had he? His memory was fragmented, stitched together with liquor and adrenaline. The silence stretched. Then she stood, letting the sheet fall. Ryan looked away, his pulse uneven. Something about her confidence, the way she held his gaze, stirred confusion and discomfort. Hey, he said suddenly, voice low. Are you? She interrupted gently, almost amused. Does it matter? Ryan blinked, unsure if he'd heard her right. His mouth went dry. What are you talking about? Neera stepped closer, eyes unreadable. You should go, Ryan, before you start asking questions you don't want answered. He gathered his clothes in silence, avoiding her eyes. Every movement felt mechanical. When he finally reached the door, he glanced back. She stood by the window, framed in gold light, calm and unreadable. Outside, Bangkok buzzed with morning life. Vendors shouting, engines rumbling, heat rising. Ryan walked toward the elevator, his heart beat loud in his ears. Something in that room had shifted his world, even if he couldn't yet explain how. He didn't know that the whispers had already begun. The elevator ride to Clarke & Pierce Associates felt longer than usual. Ryan adjusted his tie in the mirrored walls, forcing his reflection into composure. The lingering scent of her perfume still clung to his shirt, faint but undeniable. He'd showered twice, changed clothes, swallowed coffee like penance. Still, he couldn't scrub her from his thoughts. The office greeted him with cold air and sharper eyes. Assistants typed, phones rang, deals moved. Bangkok's foreign branch ran on money and gossip in equal measure. Ryan smiled mechanically, walking past familiar faces. His colleague, Darren, leaned against his desk, holding a paper cup. Morning, boss, Darren said, tone too casual. Rough night? Ryan froze for half a second before replying. Celebrating the Nakamura deal. You should try it sometime. Darren smirked. Heard you were seen leaving Velvet Lounge. Quite a place for business networking, huh? The words hit harder than they should have. Ryan's jaw tightened, but he forced a laugh. Guess I'm popular now. Guess so, Darren said, eyes gleaming with curiosity. Someone said you weren't alone. Ryan's pulse skipped. People say a lot when they're bored. Darren shrugged, sipping his coffee. Sure, just thought I'd ask before the story gets better with every retelling. Ryan turned toward his computer, ending the conversation. Some of us work for a living, Darren. The room's hum returned, but his focus didn't. The cursor blinked on a blank screen. Every whisper, every glance suddenly felt loaded. He could almost hear them, the secretaries near the copier, the intern whispering by the water cooler, Velvet Lounge, foreigner, a woman, Bangkok's gossip machine, never slept. By noon, the weight became unbearable. He stepped out onto the balcony, phone in hand, scrolling through messages he didn't remember sending. One stood out, sent at 2. You make me forget everything. His stomach turned. He had no memory of writing it. The city stretched below him, chaotic and bright, but he felt trapped. He typed a message to Neera, then deleted it. His thumb hovered over her name. The memory of her face in the morning light flashed in his mind. That look, that cryptic calm. Ryan, a voice interrupted. It was Amanda, his project assistant. Mr. Nakamura's team rescheduled. You okay? You look off. He straightened. Just tired. Long night. She hesitated. Well, everyone's been talking. Maybe take a day off? Talking about what? Amanda's eyes darted away. Nothing important. You know how people are. Ryan smiled thinly.
Yeah,
I do? When she left, he leaned on the railing, breathing slow. His mind raced. How did anyone even know he was there? He replayed the night, fragments blurred by whiskey and neon. Maybe someone had seen him leave. Maybe she wanted to be seen. A notification buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Had a good time, Mr. Clarke. Hope you didn't forget me already. Attached was a photo, his hand holding a drink beside hers. The angle was deliberate. The background clear enough to prove location. His chest tightened as realization struck. This wasn't just gossip anymore. Someone wanted something, and it had only just begun. Night returned to Bangkok like a fever dream, humid, restless, heavy with noise. Ryan sat alone in his apartment, the blinds drawn, his phone glowing on the table. That single photo from the unknown number had rooted itself in his mind. He deleted it twice, but it kept finding its way back. He hadn't replied. Not yet. The screen lit again. Miss me? No name. Just those two words. He typed, "Who is this?" The reply came before he could breathe. "You know who." He set the phone down, heart pounding. The quiet of the room pressed close. He poured a drink, his third tonight, and stared out the window at the chaos below. Somewhere out there, she existed, watching, waiting. He thought about her eyes, their calm intensity. That voice, smooth and deliberate, replayed in fragments. "Does it matter?" she'd said. And now it did. It mattered too much. Ryan opened his laptop, searching her name. Neera. The results flooded with faces. Models, influencers, escorts, dozens of them, too many to tell which one was her. He scrolled through images until a familiar detail caught his breath, a red silk dress under neon light. The caption read, "Neera, Velvet Lounge, Exclusive Nights." He clicked it. The page belonged to a private account, but the profile photo was unmistakable. Same eyes, same knowing smile. A link below led to an escort agency site. His hand trembled as he clicked again. There she was, listed under special companions, with reviews written in coded language. Expensive, elusive, dangerous. His mouth went dry. He slammed the laptop shut. No, no, no. The phone buzzed again. "Looking for me?" He froze. Then another message appeared. "You didn't seem so scared that night." Ryan's thoughts tangled between anger and shame. He wanted to call the number, to confront her, but something told him that was exactly what she wanted. He deleted the messages, tossed the phone onto the couch, and pressed his palms against his eyes. A knock startled him, 2 soft taps at the door. His chest tightened. He stepped closer, silent, listening, no movement, no voice. When he finally looked through the peephole, the hallway was empty, except for a single envelope on the floor. Inside was a photo, the same one from his phone, printed now, glossy and real. A note scribbled beneath in looping handwriting, "Don't pretend you forgot me." The room felt smaller, suffocating. He checked the locks twice, then sank to the floor. That night, he barely slept. Every sound, the hum of the fridge, the drip from the tap, felt like a threat. When dawn arrived, his reflection in the mirror startled him. Bloodshot eyes, pale skin, fear carved into his face. He didn't know that somewhere across the city, Neera watched a different reflection, herself in the mirror of a small apartment, tracing the same photograph with a manicured nail. Her lips curled into a smile that never reached her eyes. "Let's see how long you can hide, Mr. Clarke." The cafe was too quiet for noon. Ceiling fans creaked above pale wood tables, the scent of burnt espresso lingering in the air. Ryan sat near the window, sunglasses hiding the storm behind his eyes. His phone buzzed once, then again. "Come alone, 10 minutes." He didn't need the name. He knew who it was. Outside, Bangkok's traffic pulsed like a heartbeat. When the door finally opened, Neera walked in, red dress again, deliberate, devastating. Every head turned as she moved, slow and composed. Her lips curved into that same unreadable smile. Ryan straightened, his hands trembling under the table. "You've made your point," he said when she sat down. "Have I?" Her tone was calm, almost amused. I thought you liked surprises. You sent that picture to my office. You think this is a game? Her eyes flicked to his trembling fingers. Everything's a game when men like you think they can disappear after they've had their fun. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. You have no idea who I am. She smiled faintly. Oh, I do. I know you're careful, married once, divorced quietly, the kind who thinks money can clean any mess. But you made one you can't buy your way out of. Ryan froze. What do you want? Respect, she said, tracing the rim of her cup. And maybe a little appreciation for the risk I took. He laughed bitterly. Risk? You drugged me, trapped me. She interrupted, voice sharp now. You were drunk, Ryan. You didn't say no. You said my name like it meant something. Silence pressed between them. Her gaze held his, unwavering. He forced the words through clenched teeth. Delete the photo. End this. I'll pay you. Neera tilted her head, studying him. Do you think I care about your money? She leaned forward, whispering, You cared that night. Why not now? Ryan's pulse hammered. He wanted to leave, but his body wouldn't move. If you ever contact me again. She reached into her purse, his breath hitched. But instead of a weapon, she pulled out her phone. Smile, she said softly, lifting it. The shutter clicked before he could react. He stood abruptly, knocking his chair back. You're insane. Maybe, she said, still calm. But you'll answer next time I call. Ryan turned, walking out fast, the bell above the door chiming like a taunt. He didn't look back, but Neera watched him until he vanished into the crowd, a faint smirk touching her lips. Outside, the city was blinding. The air thick. Ryan's chest tightened as he pushed through the crowd. He wanted to run, to forget, to escape the suffocating web tightening around him. But the more he tried to outrun it, the closer it clung. That night, his phone rang again, unknown number, familiar chill. He stared at the screen until it stopped. Then another message arrived. You can't erase me, Ryan. He threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall, cracked, and fell to the floor. But even in the silence that followed, he could still hear her voice. Days blurred together like fog. Ryan moved through work with the stiffness of a man performing his own disguise. He smiled when spoken to, nodded through meetings, but behind the calm mask, his thoughts tangled in panic. Neera hadn't called again, but her silence felt louder than her words ever did. Every vibration of his phone made his pulse jump. By Friday, he couldn't stand it anymore. He told his assistant he was sick and left the office before noon. His apartment felt foreign. Every shadow suspicious, every creak amplified. He poured himself a drink, but didn't touch it. Instead, he opened his laptop and searched again. Neera Bangkok, escort velvet lounge. The same images appeared, but one link stood out, an anonymous forum thread titled Foreign Businessman Scandal Coming Soon. His hand froze on the mouse. He clicked. The post was short but unmistakable. He's rich, British, and doesn't know who he spent the night with. Beneath it, a blurred photo of him leaving the club. His stomach twisted. He refreshed the page, but the post was gone. Deleted. Too late. Someone had seen it. Someone knew. He slammed the laptop shut, breathing hard. The knock on the door nearly made him jump out of his skin. Ryan? A voice called softly. It was Darren. Ryan hesitated, then opened the door halfway. What are you doing here? Checking on you, Darren said, stepping inside without waiting. You've been off. Everyone's talking, man. I figured I'd hear it from you before I heard it from the wrong person. Ryan's face tightened. What are you talking about? There's chatter, Darren said carefully. Someone said you're mixed up with someone dangerous. A woman. Ryan forced a laugh that didn't sound human. People need better hobbies. Darren studied him. You're not denying it. I'm not entertaining it. Then tell me straight, Darren said quietly. Are you in trouble? Ryan stared at him for a long moment, then looked away. No, just tired. Darren sighed, sensing the wall he couldn't cross. All right, but if something's going on, whatever it is, don't handle it alone. When he left, the silence returned heavier than before. Ryan sank onto the couch, rubbing his face. "Handle it alone," he muttered. He'd been doing that his whole life. The phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but then curiosity overpowered fear. "You should tell your friend to stop asking questions." His breath caught. He typed furiously. "What do you want from me?" No response, only the ticking of the clock on the wall, each second louder than the last. Night settled in thick and suffocating. Ryan sat in darkness, phone clutched tight, waiting for the next move. He thought about calling the police, but dismissed it instantly. What could he say? That he'd been blackmailed after sleeping with someone he shouldn't have. His career, his reputation, everything would burn. He tried to convince himself it would end if he stayed quiet. But deep down he knew silence was just another invitation. Hours later, as he drifted into uneasy sleep, a faint sound broke through. The rustle of paper near the door. He rose slowly, heart racing, and found an envelope slipped beneath it. Inside was a single photo, him and Darren talking on his balcony earlier that evening. The angle was perfect, taken from outside. Underneath, the note scrawled in neat, elegant handwriting. "You're not the only one with secrets." Ryan dropped it, the room spinning. For the first time he realized this wasn't just blackmail. It was a game, and she was always one step ahead. Rain battered against the windows, a steady rhythm that matched the panic in Ryan's chest. He sat at his desk long after midnight, the glow of his laptop painting his face in cold light. The envelope still lay beside him. That photo of him and Darren burned into his mind. Someone had been close enough to see him, close enough to listen. He opened his email again. Dozens of unread messages. One subject line froze him. "Still keeping secrets?" No sender name, just those words. His finger trembled as he clicked. Inside was a video file. He hesitated, then pressed play. The footage flickered grainy, handheld too intimate to mistake. His hotel room, his voice, hers, laughter, fragments of movement. He couldn't look away. The camera had been hidden, the angle precise. A wave of nausea hit him. He slammed the laptop shut, breath short, chest tight. "No," he whispered. "She wouldn't, but she would." The phone buzzed almost instantly. "Do you understand now?" He stared at the screen. "Why are you doing this?" he typed. The reply came fast. "Because you made me invisible. Now you'll remember me forever." Ryan's mind spiraled. If this leaked, it wouldn't just destroy his career, it would become spectacle. The British executive who slept with a Thai ladyboy. Every headline, every whisper, every humiliation imaginable. His company, his family, his name, all gone. He needed control, proof, something to fight back with. He searched through his old messages with Neera. Every text, every timestamp. Something odd caught his eye. One message sent after he'd fallen asleep that night. At 4:16 a.m. from his phone to hers. "You'll get what you want tomorrow." He hadn't written that. He was sure of it. He replayed the scene in his head. The drinks, the laughter, the blurred hours. Then a new thought sliced through his panic. What if she hadn't just filmed him? What if she'd taken something else? He tore through his drawer, searching for his passport. Gone. He checked his safe, still locked. When he opened it, everything was there except the USB drive that contained sensitive project data from his firm. His breath caught. This wasn't just personal, it was professional. The phone buzzed again. "You're looking in the wrong place." Ryan's heart pounded. "What do you want, Neera?" he whispered. This time, the message came slower. "Meet me tomorrow. The cafe. Noon. Bring what's left of your pride." He slammed the phone down, pacing the apartment. His reflection in the dark window looked like a stranger, haunted, cornered, hollow. The rain outside had turned violent, hammering against the glass. He could almost feel the city closing in on him. For a long time he stood still, every thought feeding the next in circles of fear. Finally he exhaled, whispering into the emptiness, "Tomorrow it ends." But somewhere across Bangkok, Neera watched her phone screen glow with his message history, her smile cold and quiet. She wasn't done yet. Bangkok's noon sun burned harsh and white. Ryan sat outside the cafe, sleeves rolled up, sweat tracing lines down his neck. The crowd moved like static around him. Tourists, locals, the hum of motorcycles and distant laughter. Every sound felt distorted. He checked his watch again. She was late. When Neera finally appeared, she looked effortless. Sunglasses, loose blouse, calm as a ghost. She took the seat across from him without asking. "You came," she said softly. "Cut the act," Ryan snapped. "What do you want?" She leaned back, sipping the iced coffee she hadn't ordered. "You think this is about money?" "It usually is." Her smile was faint, amused. "It's about power. You took something from me that night. Dignity. Control. I'm just taking it back." Ryan's voice dropped to a hiss. "You drugged me. You recorded me. You stole from me." "Proof," she said simply. "Proof that men like you can't stand to see themselves stripped bare." He slammed his hand on the table, drawing glances. "You're going to stop this. Right now." Neera tilted her head. "Or," he leaned closer, "or I go to the police." She didn't flinch. "Tell them what, Mr. Clarke? That you paid for company and found out you weren't man enough to handle the truth." The words cut deep. Ryan's face hardened. "You think you can ruin me and walk away?" Neera stood slowly, slipping her phone from her purse. "I already have." She pressed play. Her screen lit up with the video. The one from that night. His voice, her laughter, the blurred bed sheets. He froze. "Delete it." Her eyes glimmered behind the lenses. "You'll do as I say." She turned and walked away, leaving him frozen in place. The sound of clinking cups and city chatter rushed back like a wave. Ryan sat motionless for minutes before realizing his hands were shaking. That evening, he followed her. It wasn't planned. He told himself he just needed leverage, proof she was bluffing. But when he saw her leaving a downtown apartment with another man, something in him snapped. The jealousy was irrational, burning through fear like gasoline. He trailed them at a distance through the narrow side streets, every step heavier than the last. They laughed, unaware of the shadow following. When the man kissed her cheek and left, Ryan's body moved before his mind caught up. "Neera." She turned, startled, then smiled faintly. "You shouldn't be here. You're playing me," he said. His voice was steady now, but cold. "Who else have you done this to?" Her lips parted in mock surprise. "You think you're special?" He took a step closer. "You took my files, didn't you? My data." Neera didn't deny it. "You think I care about your company? I care about control." Ryan grabbed her wrist. "You're done." She didn't resist. She leaned in, whispering, "You're too late." He froze, confusion flashing into dread. The next morning, a new message waited on his work email. Anonymous sender, an attachment titled Confession. Team 4. It was the video, but this time, it wasn't sent by Neera. It had already been forwarded to his firm's senior partners. Ryan stared at the screen, his throat dry, his world tilted, collapsing inward. He whispered her name once, low and shaking. "Neera." Somewhere across the city, her laughter filled a room lined with glowing screens. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was winning. Ryan hadn't slept in 2 days. The city outside his apartment blurred into noise, honking, rain, the dull hum of Bangkok's sleepless night. The email had detonated everything. His company suspended him pending an investigation, his colleagues stopped calling, and Darren's messages piled up unanswered. Shame clung to him like humidity. By the 3rd day, he gave in. He called Darren. "I need to talk," he said quietly. "Somewhere private." They met at a rooftop bar downtown, the kind with soft jazz and low light where people went to forget. Darren arrived first, leaning on the railing, cigarette glowing faintly in the dark. "You look like hell," he said when Ryan approached. "Feels worse." They sat. Ryan stared at the city lights, searching for words. "It's bad," he said finally. "Worse than you think. Tell me." Ryan took a deep breath. "The woman from the club, she wasn't who I thought she was." Darren frowned. "Meaning?" "She recorded me, set me up. She's blackmailing me. And someone sent the video to the partners." "Jesus." "Ryan. I don't even know how she got access to my data. The files, confidential ones, they're gone. It's like she's inside everything. Darren ran a hand through his hair. You need to go to the police. I can't. Why not? Ryan looked away. Because they'll dig. They'll find everything. You think they'll believe I was manipulated? They'll call it what it looks like. A scandal. A foreigner embarrassed by a secret he couldn't handle. Silence settled between them. The rain had started again, thin and steady. Darren exhaled smoke, watching it drift. Then what do you want me to do? Ryan's voice cracked. Just believe me. Darren studied him, eyes softening. I do, but you have to face this. Secrets only rot when you hide them. Ryan let out a hollow laugh. She said something like that. Who? Neera. He said her name like it hurt to say it. She's not just blackmailing me. She's obsessed. Every time I think it's over, she's there, watching. Darren hesitated. You're sure this isn't paranoia? Ryan's eyes darkened. You'll see soon. He pulled a folded photo from his jacket. The picture Neera had left at his door. Someone took this from outside my apartment. That's you in the frame. Darren stared at it, his face draining of color. She knows who I am. She knows everything. For a moment, the only sound was the rain. Then Darren crushed his cigarette, his voice low. If she's crossing that line, this isn't just blackmail anymore. Ryan nodded, his jaw set. I know. Then you need to stop her. Ryan looked out over the shimmering skyline. I will. Far below, lightning flashed against the horizon. The storm was coming closer. The storm arrived before midnight, rolling over the city like a warning. Rain beat against the windows of Ryan's apartment as he sat in darkness, his phone glowing on the table. He'd locked every door, checked every window twice, yet safety felt like a foreign concept. His phone vibrated. A message. No name. You shouldn't have told your friend. He froze, pulse spiking. Then another message followed. He's cute when he worries. Ryan's throat went dry. He typed, What do you want from me, Neera? The reply came instantly. I already told you. Control. Lightning lit up the room, flashing across the walls. Ryan stood, moving toward the window, scanning the street below. The city glimmered through the rain, distorted and endless. He couldn't shake the feeling that she was out there, watching. His intercom buzzed suddenly. The sound made him flinch. He stepped closer, pressing the button. Who is it? No answer, just static. He pressed again. Who's there? The speaker crackled, then silence. His heart pounded. When he looked through the peephole, the hallway was empty. But when he opened the door, an envelope waited on the floor, soaked, edges curling. Inside, a single flash drive. He plugged it into his laptop, hesitating as the folder opened automatically. Dozens of images appeared. Screenshots of his private messages, his calendar, his bank account. Every part of his life laid bare. At the end of the list was a video file named uli.im. He clicked it. The footage showed Darren, walking home, talking on the phone. The camera followed him through the rain until a shadow appeared behind him. Neera, her reflection flashed in a storefront window. Then the clip ended abruptly. Ryan's stomach dropped. He grabbed his phone and called Darren. No answer. He called again. Still nothing. On the third try, the call went straight to voicemail. He whispered, Come on, pick up. The phone buzzed with a new text. Stop chasing what you can't control. His breath came short. What did you do to him? He typed. No reply. The storm outside intensified, wind howling through the cracks in the window frame. Ryan paced the room, mind spiraling between fear and fury. He thought of the video, the photo, the messages. She was inside every part of his life. His phone, his building, his thoughts. He grabbed his coat and ran into the rain, not caring where he was going. The streets glistened under streetlights, puddles reflecting the chaos of the storm. Every figure in the distance looked like her. Every shadow felt alive. When he reached Darren's apartment building, the front door was locked. He rang the buzzer, but no one answered. Lighting split the sky, revealing something taped to the glass door. A photograph. Darren, sitting at the rooftop bar. And across the table, Neera. Ryan's chest constricted as he stared at the image. Written across it in red ink were 3 words. He told me everything. The paper trembled in his hand. The rain washed the ink into streaks of red, dripping like blood. Ryan barely slept. Every sound that night felt amplified. The buzz of the fridge, the hum of distant thunder, the echo of his own heartbeat. He stared at the photograph until the colors bled into each other, until even his fear began to feel numb. By morning, something inside him had changed. He wasn't running anymore. He was done being prey. He dressed deliberately. Dark jacket, clean shirt, the faint smell of rain still clinging to the fabric. When his phone vibrated, he didn't flinch. The message was brief. Meet me where it started. Velvet Lounge. The city was already pulsing when he arrived. The same neon lights, the same scent of smoke and perfume. But the place felt smaller now, like a stage built for ghosts. He scanned the crowd until he saw her at the bar, red silk again, a drink untouched before her. He walked straight to her. You said this would end. Nia turned, smiling faintly. Everything ends, Ryan. The question is how. You sent me that photo. What did you do to Darren? She sipped her drink, unbothered. He was curious. Curiosity is dangerous. His jaw clenched. Where is he? Alive, she said softly. For now. He leaned closer, voice low and shaking. You're going to stop, right now. Mira's eyes gleamed under the club lights. You think you can stop me? You still don't understand who's really in control. I'm not afraid of you anymore. She laughed quietly, a sound both beautiful and cruel. You should be. I could ruin you with a single click. Then why haven't you? He demanded. She hesitated, just for a moment. Something flickered behind her eyes, hurt or maybe recognition. Because I wanted you to see me, to really see me. I did, he said bitterly. And I wish I hadn't. Her hand twitched. You don't mean that. I do. Silence stretched. The music around them faded into a dull pulse. She looked away, then back, her expression softening. You think this was just revenge? You think I didn't feel something that night? Ryan froze. I could have sold that video weeks ago, she whispered. But I didn't. I kept it. For me. The words hit him harder than he expected. He shook his head. You're lying. Maybe, she said. Maybe not. He reached for her wrist again, this time gentler. Let it go, Nira. Whatever this is, it's killing us both. Her eyes shimmered. You don't get to say my name like that. The moment shattered. She pulled free, her tone turning sharp. You think you can erase me like all the others? You can't. He stood, voice trembling. If you come near me or anyone I know again, I'll make sure you disappear first. Something in her face changed then. Calm cracked into fury. Careful, Ryan, she whispered. Threats can turn into confessions. He didn't answer. He turned and walked out, every step fueled by adrenaline and grief. Outside, the storm had returned. Rain slicing through neon puddles glowing red and blue. He walked fast, not noticing the figure that stepped out of the shadows behind him. From the corner of her eye, Nira watched through the glass as he vanished into the downpour. Her reflection stared back at her, pale and trembling. She whispered to it, almost gently, You said you'd never forget me. And she meant to make sure he never did. Bangkok's rain came down in sheets, blurring light and shadow into one trembling smear. Ryan walked fast, his pulse echoing in the thunder. Every thought in his head screamed for escape, but no direction felt safe. His shoes slapped against wet pavement as he turned down a narrow side street, hoping for quiet, hoping for air. Behind him, footsteps followed. Soft at first, then quicker. He spun around, nothing but rain and neon haze. A flash of red flickered at the far end of the alley. His voice cut through the storm. Nira. She stepped out from the shadows, umbrella tilted, red dress plastered to her skin. You shouldn't have left like that, she said, voice calm beneath the roar of rain. You followed me. I told you everything ends where it began. She walked closer, heels tapping against the wet ground. Why did you threaten me? Ryan's breath came ragged. Because you wouldn't stop. Stop what? She said softly. Existing? He swallowed hard. You ruined my life. Her smile trembled. "No, Ryan. I just showed you what your life really was." He took a step forward, fists tight at his sides. "You don't know anything about me." "I know enough." Her voice cracked just slightly. "You used me. You pitied me. Then you tried to erase me." "I didn't." "Don't lie," she shouted, the sound echoing off the brick walls. "You looked at me like I was a mistake you could pay to forget." Lightning flashed, freezing them in white light. He saw tears on her face, or maybe just rain. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "That night, I didn't know." "You knew enough to leave," she whispered. The distance between them disappeared. She dropped the umbrella. It clattered against the ground. Rain fell heavier, drowning every word. Her perfume mixed with the metallic scent of the storm. "Give me the footage," Ryan said. "All of it." She tilted her head. "And if I don't?" He reached into his jacket, pulling out a small flash drive, one he'd found hidden in his files earlier that night. "Then I give this to the police. Everything. Every message. Every threat. It ends now." Her eyes widened, disbelief flickering into fury. "You went through my things? You left me no choice." She lunged forward, grabbing for the drive. "You can't take that from me." They struggled, hands slick with rain, slipping, tightening. The flash drive fell, clattering across the pavement into a puddle. She shoved him, nails cutting into his wrist. "Let go!" she screamed. He pushed her back instinctively. She stumbled, caught herself, then slapped him hard, desperate. "Do you even know what I've done for you?" she cried. He shouted over the storm. "You destroyed me." She moved again, too fast, too close. His elbow came up by reflex. The sound that followed was small and terrible. She fell against him, eyes wide with shock, breath catching in her throat. He looked down, his hand gripping the broken shard of glass from a shattered bottle. For a moment, everything went still. The rain softened, or maybe the world just muted itself. Mira's fingers brushed his sleeve, then fell away. She collapsed against the wall, sliding down slowly, her red dress darkening with each drop that hit the pavement. Ryan knelt beside her, shaking. "Mira." "No, no, no." Her eyes fluttered open. Her lips parted around a whisper. "You finally see me." Then she was still. The alley swallowed the sound of his breathing. Somewhere nearby, a siren wailed, faint and distant. He looked at the shard in his hand, slick with red and rain. His mind fractured into silence. He stumbled backward, dropping it, his body trembling violently. He turned and ran past puddles that reflected flashing lights, past walls that echoed her last words. He didn't stop until the alley disappeared behind him. But even as he ran, the words followed, soft, relentless, impossible to escape. "You finally see me." And for the first time, Ryan realized she was right. Ryan ran until his lungs burned, until the city around him blurred into streaks of color and rain. The world had narrowed to one truth. Mira was gone, and his hands had done it. Every thought, every sound was muffled by the same refrain pounding in his skull. "You finally see me." He stopped in a deserted parking lot, chest heaving. The rain washed crimson from his knuckles, but the stain remained in his mind. His reflection in a puddle looked foreign, eyes wild, lips trembling, shirt clinging to his skin. "It was an accident," he whispered. "It was self-defense." The lie sounded fragile even to himself. When the panic dulled, instinct took over. He needed to clean, to hide, to make it vanish like it never happened. He returned to the alley hours later, heart pounding in rhythm with the distant thunder. The body was still there, crumpled, rain-soaked, pale. He couldn't look at her face. He took her phone first, then the small purse, lying in the water. Everything else stayed. He couldn't move her. His legs refused. He knelt beside her, whispering, "I'm sorry," though the words meant nothing against the silence. Then he noticed the camera, tiny, half-buried under trash near the wall. Its red light still blinked faintly through the rain. His breath caught. Someone had been watching, or she had been recording everything. He ripped it free, pocketed it, and left before the sirens drew closer. At home, the city was waking up. He stripped off his soaked clothes, tossed them in a garbage bag, and scrubbed his hands raw. The mirror offered no comfort, only the hollow stare of a man who no longer recognized himself. He plugged the small camera into his laptop. The file opened immediately, a timeline of the last few hours. He fast-forwarded himself, walking into the alley. The argument, the struggle, the flash of movement, then nothing but rain. He stared at the frozen image of his own face illuminated by lightning, horror written across it. He deleted the file, then emptied the recycle bin, then deleted it again, just to be sure. But deleting didn't erase the sound of her voice echoing in his head. He burned the bag of clothes in a metal bin on his balcony, the smoke curling into the wet night. The stench of fabric and fear filled his throat. Below, the city pulsed indifferent to his crime. He felt invisible again, just as she had said. By dawn, exhaustion replaced panic. He sat on the couch, still trembling, trying to piece together his story. She attacked him. He defended himself. No witnesses, no proof. His phone buzzed, unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. A voice, male, cold, measured. Mr. Clarke? This is Detective Sumchai, Bangkok Metropolitan Police. We'd like to ask you a few questions about a woman found dead near Silom Road. Ryan's blood turned to ice. Who? He managed to say. The detective paused. A local named Neera. You may have known her. His mouth went dry. Yes, he whispered. I knew her. The interrogation room was small, the air thick with humidity and old coffee. A single fan turned lazily above, pushing warm air in slow circles. Ryan sat at the metal table, hands clasped, knuckles pale. His suit was damp, his tie gone. His heart beat loud in his ears. Across from him, Detective Sumchai watched quietly, eyes steady, unreadable. You found her near Silom Road, Ryan said, voice rough. You said she was dead. Sumchai nodded. A woman matching the description, yes. Stab wound. No witnesses. But there are questions. Ryan forced himself to meet his gaze. Questions? The detective flipped open a small notebook. You were seen leaving the Velvet Lounge last night. 2 witnesses confirm. You also visited the same location 2 weeks ago with the victim. Ryan swallowed. We met there, yes. I didn't know her well. Not well, Sumchai repeated. And yet we found her phone in your apartment. The words hung heavy. Ryan blinked once too slow. That's impossible. Sumchai slid a plastic evidence bag across the table. Inside, the phone. The same one he'd taken from her in the rain. Would you like to explain that? The detective asked. Ryan's voice came out thin. She must have left it. Before, when we met last. Sumchai leaned back in his chair. Mr. Clarke, do you know how many times I've heard someone say that? Ryan clenched his fists beneath the table. I didn't kill her. I didn't say you did, Sumchai replied calmly, but you were there. Silence followed. The fan creaked overhead. Somewhere in the building, a phone rang, then stopped. Sumchai studied him for a moment longer before closing his notebook. You may go, for now, but don't leave Bangkok. Ryan nodded mutely, stood and left. The hallway outside felt longer than it should have, every footstep echoing with guilt. Outside the station, the city moved as if nothing had happened. Vendors shouting, cars honking, rain already drying on the pavement. He hailed a taxi, mind blank. When the driver asked for an address, Ryan gave his apartment without thinking. As soon as he stepped inside, the smell of smoke hit him. The balcony door was ajar, the ash from the burned clothes scattered across the floor. His laptop sat open on the table. The camera he'd destroyed was gone. A cold dread crawled up his spine. He checked the drawers, the cupboards. Nothing. Then he saw the note taped to his mirror, written in the same elegant script he'd seen before. You can delete files, not guilt. His knees almost buckled. He grabbed the note, tearing it to pieces. She's dead, he whispered. She's dead. But the echo in his mind said otherwise. The next morning he received an email. No subject line, no sender name, just a single attachment, the alley dot. His hands shook as he clicked. It was the same footage. Him and Neera, arguing in the rain, but this time it didn't end when she fell. The video continued. Another figure appeared, someone dragging her body deeper into the alley after he'd run. Ryan froze, staring. A man in a hooded jacket, face hidden, movements deliberate, and when the figure turned briefly toward the camera, a flash of familiarity struck him cold. Darren. He paused the video, heart pounding, mind racing. "Why?" he whispered. The question hung in the empty apartment unanswered, while the video replayed silently in the glow of the screen. Ryan didn't move for a long time. The rain outside had stopped, but his world was still drowning. He replayed the footage again and again, nearer, falling, his own panicked flight, then Darren stepping into frame like a ghost. The image burned behind his eyelids. The friend he'd trusted most was there, touching the body, dragging it away. By morning, fear turned into something sharper, anger. He left his apartment, every nerve alive with suspicion. Darren didn't answer his calls. The office claimed he'd taken personal leave. Ryan took a taxi to Darren's condo, but the doorman said he hadn't been home for 2 nights. Something was wrong. Back in his apartment, another email waited. This one with text, "You wanted truth. Go find him." Attached a location pin on the edge of the Chao Phraya River. Ryan's breath hitched. He hesitated only a moment before grabbing his keys. The riverfront was nearly empty. Just the hum of boats in the distance and the faint buzz of neon from across the water. He followed the pin to a small warehouse, rusted doors, flickering lights. Inside, shadows pooled between stacks of crates. "Darren," his voice echoed. A figure stepped forward. It was him. His hair was damp, his eyes hollow. "You shouldn't have come, Ryan." Ryan's voice was low, trembling with rage. "You were there. I saw the video." Darren sighed. "You weren't supposed to." "Why, Darren? Why her? Why any of this?" "She had leverage," he said flatly. "On me. On the firm. She wasn't just blackmailing you, Ryan. She was selling information, corporate data, client accounts. She knew too much." Ryan stared at him. "You killed her?" "I cleaned up your mess," Darren said, his tone empty. "You left her alive when you ran. She was still breathing. I finished it." Ryan stumbled back as if struck. "You're lying." "Am I?" Darren pulled out his phone and tossed it toward him. On the screen, messages between Neera and Darren. Deals, files, threats. Proof that the web had been bigger than either of them knew. "You set me up," Ryan said quietly. "From the start." "No, you set yourself up," Darren replied. "She just chose the wrong man to manipulate. You were the distraction I needed." Ryan's hands trembled. "You used me. Don't act innocent. You wanted her gone as much as I did." The silence that followed was unbearable. Rain began again outside, tapping against the warehouse roof like slow applause. Ryan's voice was barely a whisper. "What now?" Darren pocketed his hands. "Now, stay quiet. The police already think you did it. If you come forward, we both go down. If you disappear, it ends." Ryan looked at him, the weight of every lie pressing on his chest. "You're wrong," he said. "Nothing ends." Darren's smirk faded. "Then you'd better be ready for what comes next." Ryan turned and walked out, the night swallowing him whole. The river wind carried the smell of rust and rain, and somewhere behind him, Darren's phone buzzed once. An unknown number. You can't bury both of them. The message disappeared before he could read it again. The city felt quieter now, like it was holding its breath. Ryan hadn't spoken to anyone in 3 days. The emails had stopped, the threats, the messages, the calls, all gone. But silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like the pause before something irreversible. He sat in the dark of his apartment, watching the muted flicker of the TV. News anchors spoke words he couldn't bear to hear. Police continue their investigation into the death of local woman Neera Thavornchai, found near Silom Road. A British national remains under suspicion. His name wasn't mentioned, but it didn't need to be. He could feel the walls closing in. The camera footage haunted him most. Darren's face, half-lit, expression unreadable. The betrayal was colder than the rain that night. He'd replayed it until he couldn't tell where his guilt ended, and Darren's crime began. But now there was something else, something worse. He had received one final message before everything went silent. Truth doesn't disappear. It waits. He didn't know who sent it, but he knew what it meant. He couldn't run anymore. At dawn, he dressed in the same dark jacket from that night and left his apartment. The streets were empty, washed clean by early rain. The police station loomed ahead, grey and still. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the smell of paper and old smoke. Detective Somchai looked up from his desk when Ryan entered. His eyes didn't widen, didn't surprise. He'd been expecting this. Ryan stood in front of him, shoulders heavy. "I'm here to make a statement." Somchai nodded once. "Sit." Ryan obeyed, hands trembling on the table. For a moment, no words came. Then they did, soft at first, then stronger, spilling from him like a confession years overdue. "I killed her," he said. The words shook the air. "It wasn't planned. We fought. It got out of control. I didn't mean for it to happen." Somchai's pen didn't move. "Why confess now?" "Because running didn't change anything," Ryan whispered. "And because someone else was there, Darren Holt. He finished what I started. He moved her body. He's part of it." Somchai's expression hardened. "Do you have proof?" Ryan reached into his coat pocket and placed the flash drive on the table, the one he'd taken from his files before leaving. "It's all there. The video, the messages, the recordings, everything." The detective studied him for a long moment. "You understand what this means?" Ryan nodded. "Yes. I just want it to stop." Somchai took the drive, his tone quiet but certain. "It won't stop, Mr. Clarke, but it will end." Ryan looked down at his hands. For the first time in weeks, they were still. He was escorted to a holding cell before sunrise. The small space was cold, windowless, but strangely calm. He sat on the metal bench, back against the wall, and let the sound of his breathing fill the silence. Hours later, Somchai passed by his cell. "The press will know by morning," he said. "You'll have your day in court." Ryan gave a faint, broken smile. So will she. When the detective walked away, Ryan closed his eyes. He could almost hear the rain again, the storm, her voice, the moment everything changed. In that dark corner of memory, Neera was still standing beneath the neon glow, smiling through the downpour. "You finally see me," she whispered. And now he did. Ryan stood as the verdict echoed. Guilty, but no longer afraid. Truth had stripped him bare, yet freed him. Neera's voice lingered in memory, soft as rain. "You finally see me." Through the courtroom window, thunder rolled. Justice wasn't victory or punishment. It was silence, acceptance, and the end of running.